Hey guys, I just had an epiphany and I want to share it with you before it disappears because ADHD brain. And so here goes. I had recorded something different to share with you on YouTube, but then for some reason, for the past 24 hours, I have tried in vain to upload this recording. Like I've tried switching from Wi-Fi to data. I've tried switching from data to Wi-Fi. I've tried leaving both of them on, but the upload wouldn't, it wouldn't take, or it wouldn't, like YouTube would not accept it. I don't know what the phrase is. And I have so many tech friends. I'm scared, like they might take it out on me if I don't know what the right phrase or word is for that. But anyway, the video refused to upload. And so this is take 2. If this one refuses to upload, I will literally go to someone's house today and make sure I try it, because I had a pretty interesting epiphany and I want to share it with you. So for starters, I want to show you where I'm seated. I want to show you a view of where I'm at. So I'm going to change the orientation of this video if I can do it. Well, I can't for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. So let me do this instead. So this is a beautiful tree in the compound. I live somewhere in Postminster, and that's the background. This is what I get to see. There's a tractor. This is what I get to see when I'm sat outside, just enjoying nature, fresh air, and this is where I sit when I'm basking in the sun. That's my current read. It's a book on very difficult topics, but essentially the parentification of children on one hand, but also emotional incest, which is something that I discussed with a brilliant panel on a different channel, Authentic Dialogue. My life coach and his sister ran that, and the Sayers are such amazing people. Jackson Sayer and Karen Sayer, his dear wife, and Posa. And Posa is his big sister, and she moderates those sessions. And shout out to the Sayers. They're really dope people, and I hold them very close to my heart. They've been there with me in Kenya. At least Jackson and Karen Sayer have been there when I've gone through some very difficult, traumatic experiences. They are family friends. These are people I consider siblings. And they're very wise people for their age. They're like really, they're not like in their 50s or 60s or 70s, but they're like really wise. And why I'm bringing this up is it's part of the epiphany. So I have ADHD. My brain gets 6,000 brilliant ideas and wants to share them at the same time. So I'm trying to fight the urge to say all these things at once, because this is kind of impromptu, and it's something I'm starting to lean into, doing stuff impromptu. Because I like to be super prepared for everything, and very many of my projects have not seen the light of day because I have analysis paralysis. Like I have a classic case of I will overanalyze something and not wind up doing it. So for instance, I had a term paper to write last semester, and it was for a fairly simple topic. I was going through a depressive episode and I thought, okay, this is the easiest thing I can do now. And it was the obesity pandemic in the US. And I had information, I had pages open and from credible sources, and I sat and I looked and I thought, where do I start? What do I want to cover? What's my scope? Like I was thinking, SMART objectives. I analyzed that project to death, meaning I deregistered from the exam. It was a 10-page term paper. If you have done a degree in Kenya, writing a 30-page project or a 30-page report for a CAT, like a continuous assessment test, is an everyday thing while you're doing your degree. Like it's something you do as part of the program. So granted, I'm not 24, 22, 21 anymore, but I was very capable of doing that paper, but I just didn't because I freaked out. Anyway, But on to what I wanted to share today. It just hit me that there are laws against showing people's houses without their consent. So I think I'll just focus on our house and hope my neighbor doesn't open her window. I will ask her for her consent if she shows up anywhere. She's a wonderful person. So, life lesson. I went out to meet a friend. So, 4 interesting things have happened in the past, let's say 24 hours, just that I'm covering all the other hours I have forgotten about. I got this gut feeling to reach out to an old friend and ask how they were doing, and discovered that they were struggling. And I went like, yo, babe, I think you're kind of spiraling a little. Like after I had sort of gone round the subject of spiraling, and I know what spiraling looks like. So for some of us, it's when your laundry isn't done and it's in a pile. When your clean clothes are on the couch or on your bed and they've not been folded for 1, 2, 3 weeks. When you've not left the house in over a week or in over 2 weeks, over 3 weeks. You don't remember what the outside of your house looks like. Or you do because you look out the window sometimes and, now that so many of us are working from home, our mental health is starting to suffer because of how much time we spend in front of the screen. And I'm speaking specifically to people in tech. Not just them, but also coaches, because now we started taking our therapy and coaching sessions online. And so that face-to-face interaction that science has proven improves our mental health, we miss out on. We miss out on opportunities like this to just look at green stuff, to see butterflies, to see people walking around everywhere. We miss chances to quite literally stop and smell the roses. And so I tell this friend of mine, you need to set up a date with a girlfriend who will get you out of the house. I tell anyone who will listen to me, anyone who's in my close circle knows, I always advise men and women, mostly women because I focus on women, to have one friend who has your sit down and shut up card. The person who you'll try BSing them and telling them, oh, I did this because I was kind of feeling like this, but they know that thin line between this is the depression acting and this is you refusing to put in the work, and they can literally tell you, babe, sit down, shut up and listen to me right now. You need to have that one friend. I took off my glasses because I feel like I need to look at you while I say this. You need to have that one friend in your life who can call you out on your BS. And I like to gather those friends. Now, for me, it's rarely been my female friends. I have a pretty strong personality and I've not always taken feedback well. In fact, there are times when I took feedback very poorly. And I remember one of my guy friends from college telling me, you don't like blame. You don't like to be blamed for things, especially things going wrong. In hindsight, it's incredibly accurate that he could pick that off of me in my early 20s when I hadn't really figured out what was going on with me, but therapy, a lot of introspection, a lot of time spent reading and learning from other people and learning from the feedback I get from friends, clients, and even my bosses has really helped me realize that was a major weakness of mine. I'm still learning. So when this friend of mine and I got chatting, we had a back and forth and I told said friend, talk to your therapist. Epiphany number 1.2. Please seek help when you need it. Seek help before you wind up having the affair. Seek help before your child's health suffers because you're so overwhelmed with motherhood. Seek help before you're actually called in for a performance review and they're terminating you from your job because of how many days you've missed. Seek help and do it quickly, do it soon. Very many of us have the illusion of, I have X number of days or X amount of time to figure out my stuff before it's too late. If you know anyone who knows anyone who's lost a loved one to suicide, you know that waiting could literally be a life and death situation. I'm not saying this to be sensational. I have loved ones who've lost people to suicide. I have close friends and family who've lost people to suicide. I would not wish that on anyone. Like, even people I can't stand, I would never wish that on anyone. We really underestimate the power of decline. And part of it has to do with the fact that as Black people, we've been through so much. You know, we were beaten as children. Historically, some of us have a background of descending from slavery. Some of us come from the background of descending from colonialism. And some of us have gone through abject poverty. Some of us have fought and shed tears and cried and gone through functional depression for so long that we think, I will survive. The body keeps score. That's a book you should all read. I recommend it to anyone and everyone who can get it. Because that book will literally reveal to you that your body doesn't forget. While you're going through what you're going through, your body is literally keeping stock of the stuff you're going through. That's Epiphany number, let's say 2.1. Which is the body does keep score. So sometimes we escape it in our youth and it catches up with us in our old age. There are very many inflammatory conditions that psychologists are starting, and psychologists do study medicine, so they are starting to link with health problems, and doctors are starting to link with mental health issues. There are actual studies out there, you guys, that say if you have adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, if any of you has gone through therapy, you probably feel this form. If you've gone through a difficult time in your childhood, and that's a majority of the world's population today, you're at risk of lifestyle conditions. I mean, you're not just at risk of depression, ADHD, anxiety disorders, and other mood disorders. You're also at risk of type 2 diabetes, hypertension, a bunch of cardiovascular diseases, generally leading cause of death in the world right now. You're at risk, very many people, you're at risk of let's say, modifiable risk factors. So you're at risk of developing habits that put you at risk of dying. So very many people started smoking when they were stressed, even as teenagers. And we keep assuming that children don't have feelings and they're not actual whole human beings. But every time I talk to someone who is in their 30s, 40s, 50s about some of the habits they developed as teenagers, they'll tell you, I just went through a hard time. My parents went through a nasty divorce. Or this and that happened, and I picked this habit. I started drinking a little. I started stealing my dad's liquor. I started smoking at my friend's house. We started stealing their parents' cigarettes. And that's how 10, 20, 15 years later, I'm stuck with this habit that I'm trying to kick and I can't. And then we know cumulatively, you live to be 70-something, it's very likely that smoking, especially if you're consistent about it, and most people are, leads you to have irreversible lung damage. Let's talk about food, because I do have a background in nutrition, right? Epiphany number 3. This book has torn me to shreds. If there's a book that I have read that has finished me, has ripped me apart, put me back together, ripped me apart again, put me back together, it is this book. Silently Seduced probably costs a little over 1,000 Kenya shillings, maybe 1,500. I don't know what the exchange rate is right now. I got it on Valentine's Day from my partner. It was mentioned during a session where I was a panelist, but in that very panel discussion, I was getting punched left, right, and center emotionally, because the issues they were discussing pertained to my life. We were discussing my life, and I'm on the panel. So, there I am talking about disordered eating, check. There I am talking about, I guess I may have mentioned shame around eating, hiding, and stuff like that. Check. I don't know if we did mention self-harm. I think a psychologist did, because I just couldn't mention that, because that's something I went through when I was about 18, 19. At the peak of my Christianity, by the way, when I was preaching, when I was teaching, when I had memorized Bible verses, when I used to fast and pray, when physically I was in really good shape, I was cutting myself. I was starving myself. I had started to eat and feel guilty about how much I had eaten or what I had eaten, and going to the bathroom to puke. I am being transparent here because there are very many people who come to me for help thinking I have life figured out, and honestly, I don't. I am still figuring it out. No one has a manual. And I know it is also life-saving to share. Why I spend so much time on the internet is because I get to meet people who love their children but regret motherhood. I get to meet people who are child-free and loving it. I get to meet people who have gone through medical gaslighting as women and they're talking about it. And there's one particular lady, I don't remember her name. If I'll find her handle, I'll share it. And she's like, if you have a story about how you had a condition that was dismissed by doctors for years because you're a woman, you must be hysterical. It's just period pain. Calm down, take medication, relax, just go buy some painkillers over the counter or take a shot of this and you'll be fine. If that is your life story, or you know someone who went through that, even leading to death, for if you knew someone who went through that, tell me your story, I'm writing a book. I love how women are finally telling their stories because, by the way, research has let us down. Like the scientific world has let us down. So for instance, I learned in my gender equality class, which I almost failed, that's a topic for another day, that so our lecturer shared some TED Talks. And she shared that most research subjects, in fact, pretty much almost all, over 90, almost 99% of research subjects for research on medication, most of the subjects are men. So this one time, I'm paraphrasing the story, they're coming up with medication to help people sleep. People have sleep problems. And then who are their subjects? Men. Why? They're like, women with all their hormonal changes and their cycles and whatnot. We don't want them messing with our stats. We don't want them messing with the results of our research. So let's leave women out of this. They come up with a sleeping drug. Cool. Put it out in the market. For a period of time, and I don't know what amount of time, women had terrible, terrifying side effects. There were women who were sleepwalking. There were women who were sleep driving. There were devastating consequences of women who used this sleep medication because research had picked out male subjects, left out women. The world we live in today, by the way, same thing. There's medication that we take and we don't respond to pain the same way men do. There's research to show that you will go to a hospital and you'll be treated differently for just being a woman. And the assumption will be, oh, by the way, let me share my own life story. Every time I have gone to hospital because of period pain and encountered a male doctor, I have been told, without fail, get pregnant. And I remember this one time I told a doctor, children are not a bunch of bananas that I can buy and return if I don't like them or throw them in the bin. They're a lifelong commitment. And he's like, yeah, it's true. I also have a child and he's with the mother. Self-advocacy, my friend, is an important thing. This is somewhere in, I don't know if I'm on point 3, point 3.2 or point 3.3. Learn to advocate for yourself. Ask for what you want shamelessly. Start practicing now in your 20s. I wish I had learned this lesson before my late 20s. To just say, this is what I want, to men, to lecturers, to your parents, to your friends, to your lovers, just anyone who you have allowed into your circle. Like, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is what I aspire to. This is what I accept. This is what I find unacceptable. This I find disrespectful. This I find just boundaries all around, and communicating with actual words, because ladies, we need to stop this thing where we assume a guy will know what we think. They don't. Use actual words to tell them, even in intimate settings. Tell them, I like it when you do this. I don't like it when you do this. Or instead of saying I don't like it when you do this because that might hurt their feelings, I prefer. Or focus on the thing that you like. Keep leading them in that direction. I tell people, my partner and I have worked on a system from my early 20s. I'm turning 35 in a few years. A list of birthday gifts, or gifts, just a list, ranging from a gift for $5 to to $50. Just this is what is on my wish list. Things I hope to own one day. So that he doesn't buy me a car when I have no interest in learning how to drive because I like to bike or cycle everywhere. So that he doesn't buy you a red dress when what you really wanted was a few new pairs of jeans for you to go with to work because you guys dress smart casual. Avoid those problems by just communicating what your needs are and advocating for yourself, not just it, but in hospital. I was in hospital today because my hemoglobin is still low. I know I've shared this in a different video. And no, it doesn't have to do with my being vegetarian, vegan, not necessarily. I have very heavy, painful periods. I have had painful periods and heavy periods for a long time, but they've been made worse by a form of birth control I took on, an implant. It's in my left arm, upper arm. And as a result, my hemoglobin is at like 8.4 as of today, or as of yesterday, the day before when I checked. The last time I checked in January, like 23rd of January, it was at 8.1. I have taken iron supplements. I have paired this with orange juice because vitamin C aids in the absorption of iron. I have kept off coffee. I have spaced the supplements. You know, like I only took iron supplements early in the morning and then waited like an hour or 2 hours before eating so that there would be no nutrient interactions, especially with calcium. I even stopped taking yogurt at some point to just make sure there was no calcium interfering with my iron absorption. There's barely been any change. And the doctor literally, when she was checking for bleeds elsewhere, because she was like, this isn't normal for someone your age who knows about healthy eating, who I'm listening to and thinking, but she knows stuff. And she found that my uterine lining is really thick. Another thing that doctors have noticed and one mentioned but didn't flag it as important until a few days before I came to Germany, and another one told me, oh, by the way, yeah, they should have asked you to go for extra tests. I'm like what test? Endometriosis? What? Tell me. But then people get afraid, vague when you're asking them difficult questions. But anyway, I am on my way to recovery. I'm getting all the help I need. I'm eating better. Kinda. I forget to eat sometimes. ADHD, hyperfocus, and just fatigue. Because the other thing that no one tells you about anemia, and when it combines with depression, you sit down, you don't feel like getting up. Or you think about going to the washroom for 40 whole minutes. That's also combined with ADHD because you can just find yourself scrolling. And then when you're in that state, you don't want to remove yourself. It's just it's a cascading storm of things. And I read something very funny from my girlfriend Val that isn't it funny how mental health likes to bring its cousins? It's one of those things where you didn't even sign up for the thing, but it's buy one, get 7 free. I burst out laughing because I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. I thought I was dealing with depression. I found out, oh yeah, you also have ADHD and OCD and anxiety. Woo! But I'm in therapy, I'm managing, the sun is coming out, so my mood is definitely getting better. Life is looking good. I have hope, and I have a strong social support system, and I have an incredible partner who's incredibly supportive, and his family is incredibly supportive as well. And I'm just surrounded by a lot of love. And not just love like prayers and inshallah. I literally have people I can call and go like, hi, a crap day. And they'll show up at my house. And people I can go hang out with, like for iftar today, I'm hanging out with some friends and we're breaking a fast because Ramadan has commenced today. Ramadan Karim, Ramadan Mubarak to my brothers and sisters, my Muslim brothers and sisters. So back to my epiphanies. I shared the story of my friend to tell you that you're not alone and to tell you to listen to your gut. When you have that sense to reach out to a friend, please reach out to them. There's been this whole campaign about reach out to your strong friends because strong people don't like to ask for help. It's true, we don't. But just reach out to people. A close friend of mine called me late last night. She's my girlfriend from high school. We talked and laughed and giggled like old times. And I felt like I was back in Limuru Girls in that dormitory just talking to her, and it felt so good. My Christian accountability partner from high school, I haven't talked to her in a while, and I feel bereaved because I haven't talked to her in a while. because we check in on each other, but she's going through a season where she's very busy as well. And I've been kind of available, but kind of not at the same time, because I was also building a female tribe. Why is this plane making noise? Because I've also been building a female tribe in Germany. And today I just sent her a voice note to just acknowledge her as a friend and update her on what's going on in my life so that she can respond to it when she has the time. Because that's the other thing about adult relationships, Epiphany number 4. You don't have to talk every day. I have grieved the change of a very close friendship from college where we used to have monthly sleepovers. The 3 of us girls used to go and do stuff together and spend at this person's house and then spend at this other person's house. And since I didn't have a place of my own, we would just rotate between the 2 people. And I loved it because we used to talk until late at night, and someone would make breakfast and someone would do dishes and someone else would make lunch. And we had this rotation system. And then we each have a relationship with each other. Like Shiko and I have a closeness, and then Koki and I have our closeness, and then Koki and Shiko have their own relationship. And it's such a beautiful thing because we've been friends from my college days. Like Shiko was my college roommate in 2008. Shout out to you, Shiko. And life happens because I am halfway across the world now. I don't know if that's actually accurate according to the map, but let's assume. And I'm halfway across the world and I don't get to talk to Shiko as much as I'd like to. And she has a life, she's busy. I have a life, I'm busy. Koki has a life, she's busy. She's teaching. It's a lot of work to teach. And so I have now accepted that Shiko is more available. I mean, Koki is more available to me during school holidays. So I will, because my schedule is more flexible, I'll tweak my time to fit that. And we'll even make plans at the start of a term and go like, you know what, this is something that we should do. And we've gone on vacation together. And then because Shiko works from home and she's very focused, hyper-focused on like work and stuff, I will be able to, the 2 of us will be able to have a side discussion and go like, Shiko's schedule is even tighter than, you know, Koki's, because Koki's is delegated, it's sort of dictated by the school program, generally. Generally speaking, she also has a life outside of school. Very busy, very full life. So we make plans and we're very intentional. And Shiko and I have gone to a place where we're like, okay, we will talk after this period of time, or we will schedule calls every 2 weeks, and sometimes it doesn't happen. But I no longer feel that deep sadness I used to feel, because there are times when that call time comes and when she announces she's not available or I announce I'm not available, there's this relief like, I really needed to take a nap this Sunday. She really needed to be at book club. And it's okay. It's okay for you guys to have different schedules. It's a lot like the ebb and flow of romantic relationships. I had this discussion with my sister-in-law when I was describing my relationship with her brother to her. And she's like, but where is love? And I told her, our love has morphed into that bubbly, romantic thing it used to be in our early 20s, to friendship. Because when things go horribly wrong in my life, my partner is usually the first person I think of calling. That's a deep, intimate friendship. I don't know if any of you would call the person who puts butterflies in your stomach, who gives you that bubbly 16-year-old excitement type feeling when you're going through crap, like when you're unable to get out of bed. The planes have it for me today. It's okay. Best things in life are free. Let's see if we can see them. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I hope you can hear me. I really hope this wasn't a bad, this wasn't a complete mistake. Recording outside impromptu, because it's been 29 minutes already. But let me get back to my point. Relationships change and that's okay. The relationship you have with your baby and your toddler and your tween, your young child and then your tween and then your teenager, and when they're in their late teens and in their early 20s, and then when they're in full force adulthood, those relationships are different. The relationship I had with my partner in my early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, now mid 30s is different. And now it's mostly a lull. It's that familiarity. And that can be mistaken to mean boring, by the way. And especially because we live in a society that's very big on hype. The matching vitenges, matching outfits, couples taking these photos, and you see these fitness trainers with their equally fit partners doing these challenges. And by that, I'm not hating on, like, I love those challenges. They give me hope. I'm like, oh my God, I love that you guys have that thing. But maybe for my partner and I, and really this is for my partner and I, our thing is reading. Partner will be sat across me in the same room, reading a book, and I'm reading a book. In fact, when I struggle to study, he's like, I'll study with you. I'll read what I'm reading, like I'll read my current book, and then you can read your notes. And I'm like, but am I allowed to interrupt you? Like sometimes when I feel like when I talk at you, my thoughts flow, because like you're a bright person and you catch my thoughts. So he even knows my lecturer's names. He knows my course units. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, oh my Lord, I have put this man through the most. And so there are times when I'll just be throwing ideas at him and I'm like, do you think this is gender equality or am I just making stuff up? And he's like, oh wait, that's not rhetorical. Like we have so much fun doing that. Hey, it makes me incredibly happy. And that's just one of the things we've retained in our relationship for a long time. I use him as a sounding board, like literally like a gong, where I throw my ideas and then they come back to me, boomerang effect, and I'm like, okay, I think this one works. So relationships change. Please accept the change. Check up on the people you love. Check up on that classmate you've been thinking about whose number has been stuck on your contact list for a while. The one who changed courses and went to a different country or a different campus. Check up on people. Let them know that, hey, I saw this and I thought of you. The main epiphany I was actually starting off on, which sort of carves out of the story I started with, this friend I checked on. It goes something like this. Let me actually finish off with the tail end of the story. My friend talked to her therapist. She got some guidance on why she was feeling what she was feeling. She wrote back to me to tell me this is what was going on in my life. And because this thing fell apart, I felt like everything else was falling apart because this thing was so central to my happiness, or so I thought. And now I have decentralized my happiness from this one thing. And I have decided to prioritize meeting my friends, making time for art projects, and other ways to let out my creative energy. And for the first time in a while, last night I slept through the night, and I'm so excited that I was able to do that. And I'm aiming at sleeping 2 hours earlier than the time I slept last night. This was me a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't sleep through the night. And I get a little emotional talking about this because insomnia has haunted me for a very long time. And when she mentioned that she was struggling to fall asleep, I was like, shit, I'd never wish this on anyone. And so it just felt good to hear that, like so early in the morning. I just come from my doctor's appointment and she'd told me, look, you're going to need to start intravenous iron and it costs this much. And I'm thinking, dear Jesus, I haven't started work yet and I already have to start spending that money on my health. And I've almost spent my insurance. I've almost used up my appointments. But then I hear this voice note and I think, oh my God, something is right in the world today. I don't know about you, but life is hard. So I am taking all the positivity I can get from anything. Like when I wake up and I see flowers and I see the sun out, it's not incredibly bright today, but it is bright. That's what I'm choosing to see, that it is a bright day. I went to meet up a friend who's also had to be in hospital a lot lately, and he shared with me how he has pain because of nerve issues, and he's just grateful that he now knows what is causing the pain so he can figure out how to go about dealing with it. And because I'm a health coach, I ask all those questions like, are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And he's like, yeah, I am. I'm doing this. And we hold each other accountable. He knows I'm looking for a job. He's in a position to be of assistance. And I'm looking for hope everywhere. I have a friend who's getting back into a more religious space, and he's chosen to fast during Ramadan, which begins today, and I'm fully behind it. I'm not going to ask him why he's not Christian or why he didn't choose Christianity. I'm just happy that he's chosen something that speaks to him. Because the other thing I respect and love about Islam is that there's a sense of brotherhood and belonging that comes with it. And I think that's something that this friend of mine could use right now. I've had to share hard truths with loved ones recently, and sometimes they come back and they say, thank you. Thank you for telling me that it couldn't have been easy to say. And I have had to hear hard truths. One of the hardest things about falling sick when you're a health care practitioner, when you're in healthcare, when you give care, when you teach people about health, is that you start to feel like you're a fake. That's been my biggest challenge. I have the abs, I have the muscle tone, but how is my hemoglobin at 8.4? I mean that it means my vegetarianism is not working for me. But then also, I've been eating chicken, not very consistently. I don't like the taste of meat, but here and there, I've been pairing my vitamin C with my iron intake. My hemoglobin still didn't improve, not significantly enough. Or it did, and after my very heavy period last month, I went back to 0.5. And it's disheartening. It's disheartening to not have the energy to do the things you love to do. But, guys, I'm holding out on hope because spring is here. There's no more snow outside. I have people I can talk to when I'm going through hard things. And sometimes you just need to ask. You know, sometimes we give ourselves answers before we ask the question. We presume. And maybe it's because in the past you asked for help and no one came. Or people laughed. Or people made you feel less than. And it sucked. And you promised yourself to never ask for help or never need anyone because that was how you're going to keep yourself safe. But how's that working out for you right now? How is it serving you? I've chosen to go about life with vulnerability. A few years ago, I would never have done this. This puts my business out there. Nope. But I've discovered that there's a freedom that comes with just being vulnerable and human and telling people I don't have everything figured out. I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I actually tell my clients, I don't know. I'll research on that. I have put together a menu for a new client and literally put in something that they had said causes them inflammation. Something we had discussed in our first meeting. And they corrected it. And they were like, oh, I replaced couscous with rice because couscous is made with wheat. And I was like, crap, how did I miss that? It was so obvious it was right there. This was my chance to impress them. And just when I started to beat myself up because it's a thing I've stopped doing, I was like, da-da-da-da-da-da. You're human, you made a mistake. You apologized. They told you they corrected it because you had given them options. No one died. Sometimes it is bad. Like sometimes the mistakes we make cost us. Sometimes it isn't that bad. Or sometimes it's bad, but that's just an opportunity for learning. Because show me one person who hasn't screwed up in this life other than Jesus. One person who's not messed up in this life. So the Epiphany was like 4 epiphanies in one. And the other video was about gratitude. This is me post-therapy. This is me after consistently showing up and crying my eyes out at therapy. This is me after my therapist challenged me to rip off the labels that have been put on me. This is me after questioning everything, even why I'm in my relationship and why I am a Christian and why I even came to Germany. This is me asking Is this where I should have been? Should I have gone to the US? Maybe Canada. At least they speak English there. This is me not just putting myself out there to learn German, but also learn Bayerisch, which is a dialect of German. It's a whole other thing. But I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to try, because what's the option? If you don't grow, you die. I'm challenging you to grow. I'm challenging you to embrace gratitude. I'm challenging you to share from a place of authenticity. Like, forget the image that you're trying to project that you have everything figured out. And I don't believe everyone deserves your vulnerability. No, we are not saying please show us your bathing videos and no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying reveal all your difficult truths on the internet. No, it's not for everyone. The internet is a harsh place. People will drag you. I am saying that we have those little circles around us. We have those friends. We have those people who love us unconditionally. There's something in your life that's working out. Focus on that thing. And if nothing is, start working on it. Get a coach. Get a therapist. Get back on your meds. Start taking supplements if you're not eating regularly and you know you're messing up your health and you live off beer and chips. Go for an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Find out where they're held. Tell a friend to take you. Accompany a friend to an OBGYN visit for a pap smear. Get the HPV vaccine if you've realized you're consistently having unprotected sex with people you don't know and you're like, I'm screwing up, I'll do better, and then you don't. It's been 6 months, 12 partners, and just do it. Get the HPV vaccine. Start stocking up on the condom. Start talking to someone. Start reaching out. Call that friend you've been meaning to call for a while and tell them, hey, what's up? I need to talk to you about something. Do you have the capacity to hold space for me? I'm struggling. What with? Tell them. You'll be surprised that the job you're looking for, they know where to refer you. They didn't even know you were looking. You'll be surprised that, oh, there's a dog. So cute. He's gone. You'll be surprised that there are so many answers to the questions that we have within ourselves that are haunting us. And there are people around us who can answer those questions. Get someone to talk to. Fix it. Start simply and simply start. But just start. Make sure you start. Don't wait for Monday. Hey, my Kenyan friends, please don't wait for Monday. I know we have a habit of, I will start on Monday. I will start in the new month. I will start next week. No, today. Start small. Don't go to the gym. Dance in the house. Put on your favorite mix and dance while putting together a nice meal. Google 10-minute meals that are healthy. Call a friend. Tell them I'd like for us to schedule a monthly catch-up. I miss you. If you can't afford to go out for coffee because this economy is crap, have your tea, coffee, chocolate, soya at home and talk to them on phone for 20 minutes every weekend or every other weekend if they have the capacity. I didn't visit that friend of mine who got a baby. I feel so bad. The baby is now a year old. Call them up and tell them, I feel so bad I didn't come. I'd like to do better. When can I visit? Tell that friend who's grieving, hey, I promised I'd be there for you, but I just didn't know the right thing to say. I don't know how to deal with grief. It's awkward for me. I've never dealt with my own grief, or I've never lost a loved one. I didn't know what to say, and I didn't want to say the wrong thing. But I'm here now. Could we talk? Do you want to talk? I don't know what to say. What should I say? Should I just be quiet? And then Google. Read the book, Surviving the Loss of a Loved One, to figure out what to say and what not to say. Put in the work. It's well worth it. I feel like I have emptied myself of the Epiphany high. I don't know if there's any of what I said that spoke with you. If you want to reach out to me, please do. In the comment section. Finally inviting people to comment. And let me know what you think. Let me know what your experiences are. If you're looking for a health coach, people in my circles now say I'm their life coach, I'm their health coach. thinking very seriously about getting into psychology. I'd love to be one of those on the spectrum type psychologists or psychiatrists. I love it. Focused on holistic medicine. Anyway, it will be very interesting and intriguing. But yeah, do let me know how it's going in your life, what's working. Let's start a gratitude circle on the internet. It's always such a great thing to go on there and find that people are sharing something positive or something helpful or beneficial. Anything really. And if you have any tips or advice for me, please bring it on. I welcome it. I welcome positive criticism. I welcome, hey, you can do this better. I like the way you do this. Could I collaborate with you on this? Let me know. And as always, thank you for honoring me with your time. We'll see you on the next video. Ciao.